Am I the asshole for telling my dad he can't treat his separation from my mom like a high school breakup? For context, I've, 18F, started online university this year and have a younger brother, 10M. Our parents have been going through a rough time for a while now, about 3 years, and Dad decided to move out of the house quite recently. Which is fine, which is excellent, as long as there are no screaming matches at 2 a.m. every other day. But, I've somehow become this middleman between the two of them. If there is something to be communicated, they cannot talk to each other at all. As a result, I get anxious when something of importance has happened at the house and worry about telling it to Dad, which I think should not be my problem. For example, my mom booked a new car recently as she got an interest-free loan from her company after completing 3 years. We had 2 cars already, but my mom's old car was booked under Dad's name and my mom didn't do anything with that car since it was under his name. I thought that Dad would want to know about my mom getting a new car and that he'd want to do something about the old one, maybe sell it. But as soon as I told him that, he blasted at me, telling me he doesn't want anything to do with my mom. Which is something that I don't understand. You guys share kids, you can't completely stay out of touch if you both want to be involved in your kids' lives. You need to learn to communicate about important things. Here's what happened now. My dad's flying in to meet my brother and me and take my brother to our paternal grandparents' house, where he has been staying to take care of our grandparents all this while. I didn't want to go since my mid-semester exams have started, and I didn't feel like going anywhere at the time. My dad expects me to pass on the information about when he'd take my brother and when he'll bring him back, but then Mom has questions, and I have to call him back again to ask those, and it's just the same old back and forth again. When I told him clearly that I'm not going to do that anymore for them, my mom was okay with talking to my dad about essential things. My dad straight up said that he's not in the mood to talk to my mom right now, and his reply to me not being the mediator anymore was that he'll ask my brother to talk to my mom instead. I got furious and said that he can't expect to cut off from my mom because he feels like it. She's the mother of their kids, and he needs to learn to communicate with her respectfully about important things like whenever their kid is staying with someone. I was a bit loud and annoyed and said that he can't treat this separation as some sort of a high school breakup where you can block each other and never speak again. Especially not when both of them want to be involved with the kids. He got mad and started telling me that I should have told him all of this before he flew into the city and that I should be more considerate. I kind of feel like I could be the asshole for not being considerate towards my dad since he's going through a major separation for the first time in his life as well. Am I the asshole? Edit. I feel like I might not have made sense as to why I think I'm the asshole here. So, my aunt, my father's sister, was very supportive when she heard all of my side, but kept on explaining how my father is suffering by taking care of my grandparents, also because of work and general tension from all of this as well. She said that she has stopped considering my father and my mother as adults, to which I retaliated by saying that I can't afford to do that. If I stop treating them as adults, they'll stop acting like one. Also, my father drinks. As in, whenever he has a difficult conversation in front of him, he drinks. I'm trying my best not to trigger him, but I don't know. I feel like I might be the asshole for not agreeing to be the mediator for a little while and putting my mental health over this entire situation. I know I don't sound like one, but it's pretty easy to feel like the asshole when your parents start asking you to pity them. I'm very confused about this, but thank all of you for making me more confident about my decision. I'm not backing down from it and not involving myself in the discussion. Not the asshole. Your dad is acting like a child. It's not you or your brother's responsibility to be a middleman for your parents. They're adults. Not the asshole. You and your father need clear boundaries concerning your communication. You opened the door to being a go-between when you told him about the car. Now he evidently thinks you want that job. Inform him and your mother that you will, from this point onward, not be the messenger. Any information they need exchanged must not involve you. And then stick to it, on all topics. Not the asshole. You're not the adult or parent. He is. It's time he grows up. Sorry he yelled at you, he should not have. Not the asshole. Parenting your parent. Remember it well. All stress, no reward. I'd advise you to step back. Refuse to participate and focus your efforts on protecting your poor brother from being forced into the role of mediator at the age of 10. Your parents are adults, let them sort it out. Not the asshole. If this is any indication of how your dad usually acts, no wonder your mom is tired of his shit. He needs to grow up. Not the asshole. When settling a divorce, the court is primarily concerned that things are done in the best interest of the child. Ren. One of the major instructions to the parents is that they do not use the children as intermediaries or messengers. You did say that you thought he should know about the car situation. You did not have to tell him that. I'm sure all he heard was, "Mom got a new car." Not the asshole, "I'm so sorry your dad is treating you this way." All of this is really none of your business. Next, one of them asks you to ask the other something. Remind them you're not the middleman and that you are going to block them for asking. Then actually go through with it and block them for 24 hours or something. Teach your brother to do the exact same thing. They'll learn they have to talk to each other eventually. And frankly, you don't deserve the extra stress and anxiety. Not the asshole. Your goals and how you've conducted yourself are completely reasonable. Your father is indeed acting like a high schooler and should not be using you or your brother as a go-between. You should refuse to act as a go-between, but be careful your brother doesn't get sucked into the same role. Am I the asshole for being upset with my roommates? I, F20, and my boyfriend, M23, moved in with our friends after we got evicted from our last place of residence. My boyfriend had surgery not even a week before being evicted and couldn't do a lot until up to 2 weeks ago. He went back to work at that point too, and before that I was the one working and providing for both of us, on top of moving mostly by myself because he couldn't help. We got in an argument with our roommates because they had been telling us for about a month they were going to move soon, so we started looking into a new roommate to move in and hung out with someone to vibe check and make sure we got along. One of the roommates messaged us and said that they were mad at us for going to move someone in and was mad that we didn't talk to them before we hung out with the person. We never told anyone they were moving in, just that it was an option and they would need to move in about a week if it was a thing. We offered the person to stay in our extra room until they moved as long as our roommates were okay with it. The roommate also brought up that she was upset that my boyfriend and I never clean up after ourselves, but also said that we were getting better at it. However, last night she told me she didn't have any issue with my cleaning habits, just my boyfriend's. He's disabled and, again, is still recovering from surgery, but anytime she had brought up to him that he needed to clean, she would clean up the mess and then get mad at him about it. He had told her each time to just tell him there was a mess to clean or at least let him know, but each time she has told him that it isn't her responsibility to remind him. I understand her frustration and feeling like she would need to clean, but we've told her she doesn't have to and that we are perfectly capable of cleaning up after ourselves. She also brought up that we don't take care of our animals. She mentioned our puppy, because she is high energy, 8-month-old pit, lab mix, and tears up her toys a lot. Mentioned that my snake got out recently because the weights on her cage got moved and my boyfriend didn't know they were supposed to be there, so he didn't move them back. Then mentioned how we had a sick lizard who passed away because we thought we were giving him his medication correctly, but it turned out we weren't giving him enough. We immediately corrected it when we realized it, but he still passed away shortly after. She's mentioned to my boyfriend that she doesn't want to be an ableist bitch, but followed it up with complaining about something he couldn't even see was an issue. There's been more arguments between us that were small, but I feel like they have just built up and I'm to a point where I just want them to move out. Does that make me an asshole? Edit. People are saying how my boyfriend should clean up after himself, but not keeping in mind he had surgery. He had to take pain meds and was prescribed Valium to help with stress, so he was completely out of it a lot of the time. Which is why he wanted to be told it was something he needed to do, because at the time he did not have the mental capabilities to keep track of everything happening. The past 2 weeks he's been slowly getting more on top of cleaning because he could do so without draining himself. Edit. The person we hung out with to see if we vibed with them knew that it depended on our roommates whether they moved in or not. We were not planning to move this person in without talking to our current roommates first. We just wanted to make sure they were someone we were comfortable living with before we talked to our roommates about them moving in. Too long did not read. Roommates mad that we hung out with someone to see if we were comfortable if they moved in once roommates moved out. Maybe before they moved, but we have an extra room, brought up all the issues they have with us in the process, and I wish they would just move out soon. You are the asshole. In the most obscene, literal way, you are most definitely the biggest asshole. You're dirty, messy and inconsiderate, and told random people they can stay in the spare room until your roommates move out? I'm having a hard time believing this post is true, to be honest. You got evicted from your last apartment because you're irresponsible, and that still wasn't enough to be a wake-up call. Grow up. Apologize to your roommates, clean up after yourselves, without being told, and get rid of some of your pets. The lack of care and consideration you show the humans you live with is awful. Please do better. So let me get this straight. You can't clean properly after yourselves. No. Your boyfriend shouldn't have to be told to clean up after himself. He's not a child that needs a parent to inform him when he's being messy. You aren't taking proper care of the multiple animals that you've brought into this living space. You let AFC King snake out? Doesn't matter if it's an accident, that alone would make me freak out. And you scouted for new people to stay at this house, flat, without consulting with the other roommates who still live there to see if that's cool. Bringing people around to see if you vibe is uncool, but honestly the least problematic thing you've done. You sound like the roommates from hell. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. In my opinion, anyone who has a pet snake that gets loose is an asshole. YTA the only thing that would top this off is if you were both unemployed and home all day. You are the asshole. You sound like a nightmare to live with. What did I just read? You shouldn't have pets if you don't have place for them and those accidents happening. Edit. Also, if your boyfriend has difficulty moving, then how does he manage to make a mess and is unable to clean it up? You are the asshole. Your roommates' complaints are, you started interviewing people to move in and replace your roommates without talking to them. Your boyfriend doesn't clean up after himself and expects your roommate to remind him that he made a mess like she's his mother. You and your boyfriend do not take proper care of your animals. These are all valid reasons for a roommate to be unhappy with you, and based on the content of your post, they are all true. So basically, you and your boyfriend are mad because you're horrible roommates and someone had the audacity to point it out. You are the asshole. How can someone not know they made a mess? It isn't roommate's responsibility to remind him. Look at a space when entering. Compare when you are leaving. Clean up anything that wasn't there when you entered. You are making excuses for very poor behavior. Info. Why were you evicted from your previous apartment? Am I the asshole for refusing to help my nephew with his math homework? Throwaway account. My wife, Diane, is currently working to get her PhD in history, and I'm very close to getting my PhD in physics. My brother, Moses, still holds extremely misogynistic social views. In his mind, men are meant to provide and protect, and women are to nurture children. He's been unemployed for months now and was recently evicted from his apartment. Diane has a very close relationship with my nephew, Isaac. Isaac is a sweet kid, who according to his father is too girly. He's expressed to us that he doesn't feel comfortable around Moses because of his traditional views and past behavior. Diane and I both tried to support him as much as possible. When we learned about Moses's situation, we invited the both of them to stay with us until Moses had a steady source of income. Overall, Moses has been a decent houseguest. He's been respectful, cleaned up after himself and has not made a big fuss. The living arrangements were working. One evening, Diane was helping Isaac with his math homework and Moses started making subtle comments about how she should wait for me to teach him the proper way, or how she should wait for the smart, real mathematician to come home. Diane tries to tell him to stop, but he doesn't listen. Within the minute of me walking through my door, Moses asks me to help Isaac with his math homework. I agreed, because I was under the impression that Isaac wanted my help. In the dining room, I can clearly see Diane and Isaac working through math problems not needing my help, so I decide to leave them alone and go start preparing dinner. I guess Moses was annoyed that Diane was still helping him, because he starts to complain about how Diane is doing the homework wrong, and is causing Isaac to fail his homework, and that I need to double-check the homework because she doesn't understand what she's doing. To be fair, I found his reasoning to be quite funny, so I laughed and kept repeating that I wouldn't help Isaac. Diane is very good at math, and though she isn't a real mathematician, by Moses's standard, I can guarantee you that she can handle some high school level math problems. My laughter and refusal to help only angered Moses. He's become very disrespectful towards Diane. He started to make comments about how there's no way a pretty girl like you can understand complex problems, or how she should be working on finishing her easy doctorate before trying to understand mine. I've called him out every single time he's made those comments, but I feel a bit guilty. I don't care what he says about me, but I do care about what he says to Diane. I don't want him to be a pain in the ass because I handled a situation wrong or felt I had to prove a point. Diane says that my laughter could be seen as a dismissal for his feelings, which would only anger him more. I don't want to be the reason Diane and Isaac are being harassed, made uncomfortable. Edit. Of course I'm not just standing there and letting Moses insult Diane. Diane just doesn't want to kick Isaac or Moses out, completely for Isaac's sake. So, with his worldview. Why isn't he being manly and supporting his family? Your wife needs to come first and deserves to be comfortable in her own home. Tell your brother he needs to go. If you and your wife agree, you can continue to offer a home to his son until bro manages to get his shit together. Not the asshole. Let me get this straight, Moses wants someone to help his son with homework. And he starts insulting the person who does it? He was not helping, so he shouldn't be criticizing, and certainly not disrespecting your wife. If he is shoving his own beliefs into your household, he should not be insulted when you correct them. Not the asshole. Big talk from a dude who apparently can't be the one to help his son with the homework. And there's the real problem for Moses: he can't deal with a pretty girl like Diane being capable of something he isn't. If he's so sure Diane is doing it wrong, why can't he take over? In any case, tell him he needs to stop belittling your wife, and bet him a steak dinner against a sincere apology that the homework gets at least a B. Not the asshole. He is insulting your wife in your own home, and you should tell him to either pack it in or move out. Your wife should not be getting insulted by houseguests in this way. Not the asshole, but honestly I was close to ESH for you allowing this guy to be in your home, exposing your wife and nephew to horrendous viewpoints. Your wife deserves her home to be a safe place where she doesn't have to hear misogyny. Jesus. Grow up. Take a stand, and show your nephew that his father's brand of masculinity is not the only way to be a man. Not the asshole. He has a nerve talking like that when he wasn't helping his son. Also, it speaks volumes that he is single and homeless. Your brother is a massive awe. Keep calling him out, or better yet, lock him out. Not the asshole. His attitude is laughable, and he deserved to be laughed at. Tell your brother to check his calendar, it's 2021 not 1821, and to drop his pitiful and pathetic sexist attitudes and grow up. You're the asshole for accepting Moses's comments. Sure, you can say something each time he makes a comment, but until he has real consequences he will continue to insult your wife. Gross. Am I the asshole for spending a lot of money on my future baby? I, 30F, have been in a bit of an argument with my husband, 33M, about my spending habits. I have a really bad habit of spending money when it's unnecessary or I go a bit overboard. Ever since I was little I loved spending money. Just my family never had a lot of it. As time grew I started spending money every chance I got some of it. Birthdays, Christmas, etc. I started working at 15, working for a small bakery, which I now company own, to pay for my habit. I met my husband my senior year of high school. He was 22 and a freshman in college and I was 19. Dating for 3 years, married for 8. He knew about my spending habits, so my husband, like the saint he is, got a job at his dad's company which he now runs. We are now very well off. But here's the catch, I am 8 months pregnant and my husband does not want me to spend thousands on our baby. He is very clear on how he doesn't want our baby to be spoiled and become dependent on us. I was upset at this because I want to give my baby the world, simply because we have the money. We live in the suburbs where everyone and their mama is spoiled rotten, and I do not want to make my baby an outcast. We spent about $2,000 on my baby's bedroom alone, and due to COVID and due to my fear of getting sick we did not hold any special events for my baby, which saved us a fortune, but I did end up spending about $1,000 on my baby's clothes, toys, bottles, formula and diapers. My husband was very upset when he learned I spent nearly $3,000 on my baby. I explained to him that being a new mother is expensive and we have the money to burn. He then told me that I shouldn't spoil my baby anymore and that it's not even alive yet. I got very emotional just thinking about losing my baby. My husband comforted me and apologized for what he said and explained that he just wants our baby to have the upbringing we did, which wasn't even an upbringing for him. He grew up upper middle class and I grew up just above poverty. I want to give my baby the childhood I never had. So am I the asshole? My husband uses Reddit, so throwaway. Closing parenthesis. Edit. Thank you all for your advice. I will talk to my husband about couples therapy for my spending issues, and look into seeing a financial advisor. If you are a mother of any sort, please help me out as I don't really know what will be useful for my newborn. EDIT2. Hello all. I just spoke with my husband about finding a middle ground. We agreed on making a savings account for our son's future college, and as our son gets older we will buy as he grows. We have always planned to gently discipline our son, so yes, he will be disciplined. My husband reassured me that our child won't be an outcast if he doesn't have the newest shoes. We also will not be buying our son if something mentally happens, i.e., if me and my husband screw up we will apologize like adults, not give him a new iPhone, My husband was raised like that and hated it. On buying second-hand items my husband refuses to. He's a major germaphobe and pandemic hasn't helped. I try to give back to my community, so whatever doesn't work out with my son will be donated to families in need. So, your plan is to spoil your child so they will fit in with the other spoiled children? That's a horrible plan. There is such a thing as middle ground here. You are the asshole. You have an addiction and you're projecting it onto your baby to rationalize it as reasonable. You are the asshole here, sorry. No baby needs such a lavish wardrobe. And spoiling your kids is a great way to turn them into intolerable adults. Rein in your impulses and instead of giving your child things, gives him or her a good moral foundation. Teach him right from wrong. Teach him that having money doesn't make him better than anyone else, and that the world isn't going to be like his mommy and hand him every little thing he wants. That's how you raise a decent person. Also, the way you consistently refer to the baby as my baby, and not our baby, makes me think you really don't want your husband, the baby's father, to be too terribly involved in this whole experience. This is his baby too, and he had every right to take part in the decision-making about how he or she is raised and cared for. You are the asshole. Hubby is right. You're going to create an entitled brat that one day will find themselves duct-taped to their airline seat because they think they are better than everyone else. You are the asshole. My baby. My baby. My baby. You realize it's his baby too, right? Regardless of that, everything else in the post makes you ta. You are the asshole. Your baby will outgrow those new clothes within months. All of your spending is not benefiting the baby. It's benefiting you. Go get psychiatric help for whatever issue is causing you to waste money. You are the asshole. 1. It's his baby too. 2. You seem to think that if you spend less on the baby that it somehow means you love them less. Money doesn't buy happiness and it doesn't buy love. This is really the point your husband is making. 3. A baby doesn't need that many things. They don't give a dang. They need time and love, and those don't cost a cent. 4. Since your baby doesn't care about things, this is clearly about you and had absolutely nothing to do with your baby. Get your spending under control. Do you want to spoil your baby? Spoil them with love and time. That's what they want and need the most. Spoil them by providing a stable and secure upbringing. The things, while some of them may be nice to have, are secondary. And that's what you need to learn. Have you considered therapy? Your post is ringing a lot of alarm bells.